Hi guys, Emma here at the Vlog Lady, and I'm back with a Stranger Things review, which I said I would do after I binge watched the show, which I have been doing the past few days. And I just thought I'd come on and do a very quick review about what I thought of it, what my theories are going forward, and to ask you what you thought of it, because I don't know anybody who watches the show actually in real life, so I like to speak with anybody online. So, to start with, my overall thoughts about season 3. I thought it was actually a work of perfection, to be quite honest. Everything from the writing, the performances, the directing, the casting, everything just worked for me. It was a huge improvement on Stranger Things 2 or the season 2 because there were no errors in my opinion. Like the misstep they made with like introducing Elle's sister and everything, none of that was there this season. It was very much, I think, written to please fans, but it was also written with the reaction to season 2 in mind. I feel like that maybe had influenced their decision making in this season. So I'm going to start with Will. I think Will is one of my favorite characters actually, and his isolation this season I thought worked very well in delineating his own journey. The fact that he is not as mature as the rest of the gang in terms of his behaviors, in terms of his thinking, in terms of his sexual maturity as well. I think that was highlighted very well by the fact that everybody else had these pairings, and he made a point that he was isolated a little bit. He made a point that he was left out, and the fact that we didn't see as much of him this season as other characters, I think that also echoed his own isolation in a way, and his own journey that he's on by himself. And of course there were strong hints that he may be gay. I mean, it wasn't confirmed 100% that Will was gay, but the hints are there. I think that, you know, Mike recognizes that about him, that he doesn't like girls, and I don't think that was just a reference to his immaturity in general. I think it was a reference to his sexual preferences. And of course I liked the way that we saw Will evolve during the series, and to the point where at the end of the series we get this cycle where he is passing on his childish objects onto the younger generation, so giving his Dungeons and Dragons to Erica. Mark my words, in 30 years time we'll want that back, and is probably going to be looking up prices of it on eBay. But next I want to talk about Billy, because that was one hell of a journey that character took this season. And honestly, how I felt about Billy in season 2, and how we all felt about Billy, I think, to how we probably were feeling about him in this season, I never thought I could cry about Billy, and yet I was shedding tears. All that stuff with his memories and Elle tapping into that, it was just heartbreaking, absolutely heartbreaking. And what happened to Billy sacrificing himself at the end, and the last word, sorry, just absolutely excellent writing, I thought, in making us aware of his human frailties, and having a character that was pretty two-dimensional suddenly becomes something much more than that in this season, I should say. Yeah, it was really beautiful what they did with Billy, and visually all that stuff with Billy as a child on the beach and everything, that was visually so stunning. It felt like they spent a lot of money on this season, like they invested a lot in the CGI part of it, because it was dramatically, the volume of CGI content I feel was dramatically increased, and the standard of it felt like much better than it ever has before. Now on to Steve, and in some regards Robin as well. Robin was a very likable character, I think, and that storyline with those two really took a turn at the end that I wasn't expecting at all. It felt like being in a John Hughes movie, where there was a little bit of more of a reality check on teens' relationships with sexuality and sexual preferences. It was like, you know, Pretty in Pink, but Ducky is gay this time, which for some of us would make a lot more sense. Yeah, I really liked that. I really liked Steve is just an atypical teen heartthrob, teen idol, and I feel that, you know, the fact that he went through so much shit, and the fact that he was being hurt and beaten and treated badly, every young kid's heart around the world, I feel, must be like breaking for him. Yeah, he is a wonderful character, I feel, Steve, and the actor plays him so well. There are still hints, of course, of the old Steve Harrington, and you know, I think they have to reference the fact that he started out as a totally different person, and became something else, something that was a result of audience interaction, I think, with the show to some extent, and the response to that actor as well. Yeah, I really liked that, the twist at the end of that, what looked like was going to be a romance between Robin and Steve. And the pairing of Steve and Dustin as well, I think Gaten Matarazzo is a very talented actor, possibly the best of the cast, I feel, the best of the young cast. He just has his finger on the pulse in terms of comedy reaction, comedy timing, and that relationship with Steve is very well written and very well deployed. So I loved all the stuff between them. Moving on from that, the introduction of Erica this season was genius. Again, she was unexpected in a way. Her level of intelligence and maturity and her ability to interact with the rest of the group as if she was on the same level as them. And yet clearly she's a very different generation to them with her My Little Pony backpack. I actually think, you know, you can foresee like Dustin and Erica in the future, man and wife. They'd be perfectly paired. Elle and Mike. I really like the reality of that relationship, how it was depicted, and the fact that, you know, when you are a kid like that, you do start to get into, you know, necking and being with a boy and wanting to play your music and shut your bedroom door and everything like that, and it can get a little bit too much. So that was completely understandable, I think, for anybody who is an adult watching that. And I liked the way that Elle was guided by Max to become more of an independent kind of person and to recognize that she needed to sort of grow into herself before she gave every moment of her time to Mike. There were such subtle hints to how the characters have grown from the last time we saw them, such as Hopper calling Elle his daughter, and the intimacy that has obviously taken another step between Hopper and Joyce. Really liked the way that was going. I think, you know, they are true to the characters, the Duffer Brothers, in such an important way, because the difficulties in getting these two characters together is never not there. It's always a factor that, you know, Hopper has this horrible family tragedy behind him, and the defenses of his personality that he's erected to kind of keep people at bay, to keep that love away so that he doesn't fall into the trap again of feeling that horrendousness of loss if anything had happened, like with his daughter in a similar way. And with Joyce, of course, losing Bob and then having that abusive relationship, that also plays into her response and her reluctance to get involved with Hopper. So I really like the realities of that. And of course we got another moment where Hopper and Joyce are basically schooled about their feelings for one another. by our conspiracy theorist nut job, who actually was playing a very good part this season in his relationship with Alexei. That again was a heartbreaking thing with Alexei and the whole going to the fun fair and everything. That was just, you don't think that they can write such levels of emotional depth that can hook you in. I mean, it's only an 8-episode season, and yet every character in this season I feel I had a connection to. I really like that the romance with Max and Lucas was underplayed this season, because I feel like that is, again, close to reality, that when you're a kid of that age you kind of just go on and off with boys and girls. And also I think it would have been a distraction from the main action with Elle and Mike. I don't know what you guys thought about Dustin and Susie. I believed Susie was real all the way through. I knew that Susie was going to make an appearance at some point. And that moment in the finale with the Never-Ending Story musical segment was just mind-blowingly brilliant. You know, these days there's so many cries from fans about do a musical episode, do a musical episode, and so many shows have given way to fan expectation in that sense and done a musical episode, and it's a little bit cringe, but this moment, this musical moment, absolutely fitted this show and the humour and drama of this show. And it was excellent. It was also a very nostalgic throwback to the 80s, and in my case, I don't know about anybody else, was it just nerds that were into Never-Ending Story? But for me, I remember sitting and writing those lyrics down, because you couldn't just go to alllyrics.com or whatever. In those days you had to actually listen to a song and then write the lyrics down, and I was obsessed with that tune. I was singing along. Yeah, it was just fab. The Duffer Brothers have such a brilliant love affair with the 1980s, and the references that they chose this season were so astute and so clever, and so, you know, picking moments of the 1980s that were very pivotal and important to anyone who lived through them. And I think in regards to the soundtrack, they are being a little bit too generous to the music scene of the 1980s, because actually we were listening to a lot more crap than that. but yeah, the soundtrack was excellent this season as well. It was like, you know, another character in a way. And of course you can go back through the series and pick out all of those 1980s references. There probably were lots that I missed, and I think the Duffer Brothers probably have put a lot in there so that we as fans can pour through it and find every single one. I'm just absolutely, I feel like I've had such a good experience watching that season 3, and I enjoyed it so much, so much. So my theories going forward. Obviously it's appeared that we lost Hopper at the end of this series. My theories going into this series were that Mike might die, because I thought that Elle was going to have to go on a different pathway next season in order to defeat the monsters, you know, the Upside Down. And in fact, that doesn't seem to be where we are headed. In fact, I really like the fact that Elle has lost her powers, and that she's struggling in that sense, and she's having to live as a normal person for a while. And I actually think that, you know, the idea of Elle living with Will and Mrs. Byers in a location far away from Hawkins, that is mind-blowing to me, and the changes that those two characters could undergo between now and next season, you know, in their timeline is mind-blowing and exciting to think about. You know, having a feminine influence from Joyce, and Will having a sister and being able to explore his potential sexuality and have that support from a feminine figure as well. I think that would be really good for both of them, for all of them actually. But my thoughts about Hopper are that obviously in that end scene we see him, he seemingly disappears. He is not in the same spot when the camera goes back to the cavern with the key. He does not seem to be standing there anymore, so he's gone. And he has not been obliterated, because we see that seconds later, I think, with the other Russians who are in the same vicinity. The possibilities are that he is dead, and that would be a bummer. And however many seasons we have left, that would be really kind of depressing, because Hopper is obviously one of the most loved characters. Or the possibility is that he somehow survived. So what would be the options for him in that situation? He could have jumped through the gate somehow and survived the upside down, and then somehow come out at the Russian end where the gate is open, and be the American that the Russians were talking about when they referenced an American in one of the locked rooms at the very end, the post-credits scene. Or they could absolutely go a different twist with that. Think that, you know, that's more likely to be Hopper than anybody else in that room. And it felt like this season was written to be like the end of the entire show, almost as if they thought, well, there might not be another series, and if it ended like this, that would be okay. But again, it sort of came full circle at the end with that creature that looked like the original Demogorgon, or I'm not sure what the creatures are called, what the monsters are called, but it looked like the original one with the flower head and everything, and the more humanoid shape. It was just so much fun to watch. I hope that this season picks up a lot of awards, because I feel like it was excellent. I really do. So that's it, really. That's my quick review on Stranger Things, and I've only just finished it this morning, so I haven't like read into anything or read into any theories or anything. I'd love to hear what you think. If you want to leave me a comment, you can in the comments below. You can also tweet me. I'm on Twitter at @thevloglady, and that's it, really. That's it. I am binge watching Dark now, the German TV series, so I may be back with a review on that. And Dark is the kind of series that you ask more questions about than the series like Stranger Things, so I may be back with some thoughts on that. Thank you very much for watching. Very sorry about my voice. I have a really bad cold right now, and have done for several weeks. I'm just sick. So anyway, thanks again for watching, and hopefully I'll see you again soon. Bye.